information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
Your miles per hour. It is to take more of a northerly turn later on tonight and move up towards the north and east. Landfall will be most likely late tomorrow or into the evening hours. Hours. Into the evening hours.
Will be more aggressive.
The glass fire in Napa Valley is now nearly 70,000 acres. In the past, a fire a third that size may have happened once a year.
This year, we're looking at multiple 300,000, 800,000, 200,000 acre fires. These are huge swaths of California that have burned this year.
But this is one of those recurring nightmares. For example, 56 years ago, the Hanley fire burned through wine country. Then in 2017, a repeat from the Tubbs fire. Same area, different climate.
That fire in 1964 took 3.5 days What the same fire in 2017 took 3.5 hours. What's going on in California is really the result of all of the factors climatically and as humans coming down to ground zero in a really, really dangerous way.
It's dangerous because so many more people are moving into the woods. According to FEMA, there are 41% more homes in the fire zone now than there were in the 90s. Areas that could have naturally burned in the past have to be quickly put out by these firefighters. Now, California's windy season is just getting started. Diablo and Santa Ana winds could easily fan this destruction right.
It's not just defensible space and more vegetation management. It's more of all of those things.
There's simply more heat available these days. In the last 5 years, there's been an increase in temperature in the overnight hours. That allows the trees and leaves to get super crispy and ready to burn when the blazing sun. Simply more heat available these days. In the last 5 years, there's been an increase in temperature.
President Mike Pence and Democratic nominee Senator Kamala Harris faced questions about climate change that drew pointed remarks.
With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists
President Pence,
use
I'm sorry, your time
hurricanes
is up.
and wildfires to try and
Thank
sell
you,
their
Vice
bill of
President.
goods of a
Yes.
Green New Deal.
The west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs.
For the latest stories on climate, the environment, and sustainability, make sure you check out Pattern. You can find them on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat,
Help you save on appliances from top brands like Samsung, now from the Home Depot.
2 hurricane at the moment. It could still get stronger before landfall. It could also, after getting stronger, possibly in Louisiana as a hurricane. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren, the Louisiana state capital, Baton Rouge. Here along the shores of the Mississippi River, with Interstate 10 going from west in that direction or to the east in that direction. That's a big question we have with this hurricane, with Hurricane Delta. Is it going to shift a little bit to the west, or like some of the models are showing, maybe go a little bit more to the east? That still remains to be seen. One of many unknowns, and it's always, I think, Carl, a little frustrating, even the day before landfall. As good as the forecasts have been, as far as the track goes, a little bit of movement can mean so much for so many people, including the people still in Florida and Lake Charles.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. I mean, if you look at the average hurricane with an area of strong winds, it's about 30 miles across. Well, if you have just a little bit of a deviation in that track, that can mean you get right into the very worst of it, or it can mean you're just outside of the worst of it. And you're right, that remains to be resolved. We're going to continue to watch every one of the model runs coming in. Chris, thank you so much. Well, storm surge is one of Delta's greatest threats, and storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel shows us why storm surge is so dangerous.
Dangerous Hurricane Delta continues to close in on the northern Gulf Coast and will very likely bring with it life-threatening storm surge. We already have storm surge warnings out for parts of East Texas and much of the coast of Louisiana. We may see storm surge inundation 6 to even 9 feet above normally dry ground. But let me show you what that looks like. We can zoom in using these maps produced by the National Hurricane Center. Let's go to Lake Arthur. This is about halfway between Lake Charles and Lafayette, Louisiana. What we've got here in these areas shaded in yellow is perhaps we'll see some inundation 6 feet above normally dry ground, and in areas in orange, maybe up to 9 feet. Let's go over to another location. Let's go to Gaydahl, Louisiana, where we also may see similar water rises. For example, in these areas in orange, perhaps up to 9 feet, the areas in yellow up to 6 feet. That can do a lot of damage. Let me show you what that looks like and show you why. 3 feet of water. Let's bring that up. 3 feet of water. That can knock you off your feet. It is too late to evacuate if the water gets this high. How about above that? Let's go to 6 feet. 6 feet, that's just above my head. Things as big as cars, in fact, cars floating around, moving things and knocking things out of their way. Toxic chemicals may also be in this water. Let's go above that. How about 9 feet? 9 feet of water? This is practically unsurvivable. Only way out is up. This is exactly why we tell you to follow the advice of the local officials. If they ask you to evacuate, do so. Make sure you listen to the forecast from the Weather Channel and from the National Hurricane Center. And please, everyone, be safe.
All right, Craig, thank you so much. And let's take a look at the storm surge warning once again. This is not just a coastal issue in Louisiana, because there's so much intertidal area, all that area where there is marsh and estuaries. You've got the potential for storm surge to move well inland. There used to be between Abbeville and Lake Charles, as much as 45 miles inland is where the surge warning is now in effect. It does include Morgan City and much of southeast Louisiana, including Plaquemines Parish there, in areas outside of that hurricane risk reduction zone in New Orleans. So even though New Orleans is not going to get nearly the same windstorm that we'll see in southwest Louisiana, we certainly could see significant water level rise outside of those elaborate levees around New Orleans. So this is storm surge potential. This does not mean that all areas are going to see this. This rather means this is the worst case scenario where you have the worst of it coming, based on the modeling, based on the timing and track So this is storm surge potential, and this does not mean that all of these areas are going to see this. This rather means this is the worst case scenario where you have the worst of it coming in. And we do think that based on the modeling, based on the timing and the track, worst case scenario where you have the worst of it coming in. And we do think that based on the modeling, based on the timing and the track,
Disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on
entirely possible to get the worst of this storm in Lake Charles, which is just heartbreaking to report, given that people are still recovering there. We're hearing that they're still in shock after what happened with Hurricane Laura, and here we've got potentially another major storm on the way. We're also seeing some modeling indicating that it could track a little farther to the east, more between Lake Charles and Lafayette towards Gaydahl there in Bell City as well. So certainly that could be better for Lake Charles, would be worse for other areas, obviously. No matter how you slice it, it's going to be a very difficult situation, but our heart's really going out to the people of Lake Charles. And again, as I mentioned, the storm will continue up into northern parts of Louisiana and into Mississippi as well. And we do expect to see very strong winds well to the the same part of the state is in for another big storm.
Yeah, so you mentioned Lake Charles there. Just south of there is Cameron and Cameron Parish, which is right on the water there. They took a direct hit from Laura, which was 6 weeks ago. And now joining us on the phone is Ashley Buller. She's the Assistant Director of the Cameron Parish, Louisiana Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Thanks so much for being with us here today, Ashley, first of all.
Thank you.
I can imagine what's going through your heads right now. I know evacuations are mandatory and underway right now. How is that process going, first of all?
It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well.
Utility bills out of sight. You need the Bell & Howell Bionic Spotlight, the outdoor motion sensor light that is motion activated, so it automatically turns on the instant motion is detected and turns off when the motion stops. Bionic Spotlight is solar powered, so there's no expensive wiring or batteries to change. Simply place it where the solar panel can soak up the sun and you're done. The panel collects the sun's energy to charge all day, so it has the power to provide light when and where you need it all night. Bionic Spotlight looks just like a professional security camera, but is actually a high-tech security light with smart motion sensing technology. Look, the instant the motion sensor detects movement, Bionic Spotlight triggers 8 high-intensity LED lights that shower the entire area with light, covering over 600 square feet. The light stays on for as long as the motion continues and then shuts off 30 seconds after it stops. So there's no more arriving home to a dark house. Illuminate walkways and stairwells for visitors and guests. Light up your garden at night or the yard for kids and pets. Add Bionic Spotlight to your sports court and to help secure outbuildings and storage sheds. So you can spend hundreds of dollars on an outdoor lighting system, or you can save hundreds of dollars and get the motion-activated Bionic Spotlight for just $19.95 with free shipping. Bionic Spotlight is year-round outdoor durable and weather-resistant and backed by our 5-year warranty. And if it fails for any reason, return it for a full refund. But wait, if you order right now, you can double the offer and get a second Bionic Spotlight. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all. 2 Bionic Spotlights backed by our 5-year warranty for one low-value price. And the shipping is free. And when you call, ask about the contractor's discount on the complete 6-light home value set. Bionic Spotlight is all you need. It's guaranteed. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-313-8148. That's 1-800-313-8148 or order online at bionicspotlight.com.
Hey there, I'm Aisha, and my favorite thing about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is how easy you can share them with your friends. They taste fresh, they're crispy, you can taste that every single one is unique. The top tier, best chicken nuggets ever. You guys should put that in the commercial.
Hi, my name is Brian, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is you can taste the different types of cheeses and the blends that they use, and everything just comes together. It's like a delicate dance. They're like perfection in every bite.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network,
We've got a severe weather threat. Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
the Weather Channel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Delta. The latest on the storm is that it's a Category 2 hurricane with maximum winds around 105 miles per hour. Notice some changes that we've had here in the last couple of hours. That eye, which has been obscured for days now, is making an appearance, and it's fairly large too, actually. It's moving in a northwesterly direction around 13 miles per hour, and we are expecting it to head towards southwestern Louisiana with the landfall most likely late tomorrow afternoon or early evening. Well, as the Gulf braces for Delta, the West wants some weather relief on the fire front. Here's a look at Eugene, Oregon, and you can see there are some clouds here already. Rain finally in the forecast here in the Pacific Northwest, but that's more likely to come as we head towards the weekend. So hang in there. Let's take a look at the forecast here for Eugene, and notice you still have another nice day tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. The rain arrives on Saturday and Sunday. That should help with the smoke situation and also help with the fires for sure. Notice the cooler temperatures that are going to be on the way as well. The heaviest of rainfall is going to be from about the Cascades westward towards the coast, but still getting some of that moisture into the Intermountain West. We'd like to see it come here in parts of California. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to fizzle out and miss you altogether here. Coastal parts of Northern California should get a couple of showers, but that's going to be about it. There's a look at the fire areas. So the rain is coming definitely in areas that need it, but more acres certainly continue to burn in California. Things look a little bit more favorable, perhaps about a week from now. Well, cooler and wetter times certainly welcome in the fire-ravaged West, but in a season of record-setting fires, a sobering realization that this could become the new and scary normal. Our Dave Malkoff is on the fire front in Santa Rosa, California, showing us how a climate that has changed is helping to spark new dangers.
This is an unprecedented fire season here in California. More than 4 million acres burned already, not to mention the homes and the businesses and the lives lost all throughout the West. So what is driving all of this?
Really nasty, Brent.
They're called very large air tankers. These flights over flaming hillsides are now a common sight.
And you're cleared to drop. Because there's no denying it, these fires are becoming larger, more destructive, and more frequent than ever before.
Things will burn hotter. The fires will be more aggressive.
The Glass Fire in Napa Valley is now nearly 70,000 acres. In the past, a fire a third that size may have happened once a year.
This year, we're looking at multiple 300,000, 800,000, 200,000 acre fires. These are huge swaths of California that have burned this year.
But this is one of those recurring nightmares. For example, 56 years ago, the Hanley fire burned through wine country. Then in 2017, a repeat from the Tubbs fire. Same area, different climate.
That fire in 1964 took 3.5 days. What the same fire in 2017 took 3.5 hours. What's going on in California is really the result of all of the factors climatically and as humans coming down to ground zero in a really, really dangerous way.
It's dangerous because so many more people are moving into the woods. According to FEMA, there are 41% more homes in the fire zone now than there were in the 90s. Areas that could have naturally burned in the past have to be quickly put out by these firefighters. And right now, California's windy season is just getting started. Diablo and Santa Ana winds could easily fan this destruction right into next year.
It's not just land use planning. It's not just more staffing. It's not just more defensible space and more vegetation management. It's more of all of those things.
There's simply more heat available these days. In the last 5 years, there's been an increase in temperature in the overnight hours. That allows the trees and the leaves to get super crispy and ready to burn when the blazing sun comes out in the morning. In Santa Rosa, California, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
And speaking of climate change, vice presidential candidates appeared in their only debate in Salt Lake City last night. Vice President Mike Pence and Democratic nominee Senator Kamala Harris faced questions about climate change that drew pointed remarks.
With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists
President Pence,
use
I'm sorry, your time
hurricanes
is up.
and wildfires to try and
Thank
sell
you,
their
Vice
bill of
President.
goods of a Green New Deal.
The west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs.
For the latest stories on climate, the environment, and sustainability, make sure you check out Pattern. You can find them on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. We'll have continuing team coverage with live crews in the field with the latest on Hurricane Delta. That's coming up right after this break. Stay with us.
Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water.
Now try Nestle Pure Life Plus, water enhanced with minerals and a splash of flavor.
Today's new normal. Face coverings are essential, even required in certain environments. Now, there's Copperfit Guardwell Face Protector, our most advanced and durable copper-infused fabric woven into a full face protector. With a sure-fit, non-slip design for all-day comfort to help give you peace of mind in today's uncertain world. An easy-to-breathe, thermal-regulated fabric with smart technology to keep you comfortable and cool. And a lightweight fabric with UPF 30 face protection against harsh elements. And unlike disposable coverings, you can wash Guardwell Face Protector with soap to give you the clean face protection you need. Designed with smart technology fabric, reinforced stitching, and stay-dry wicking absorption, CopperFit Guardwell is built to last, and it's copper infused into our soft stretch fabric to kill unwanted odor-causing bacteria. A stylish, easy-to-breathe, and sure-fit garment. Built-in smart technology with UPF 30 to keep cool and comfortable in harsh environments. Washable and reusable, so you are never without protection. And copper infused to kill odor-causing bacteria. CopperFit Guardwell is the most comfortable, breathable, and built-to-last face protector you will ever wear. Guaranteed or your money back. CopperFit Guardwell is in stock now for immediate delivery, but demand is very high and supplies are limited, so don't wait. We know these are difficult times, so we made special arrangements to send you 2 copper-infused Guardwell face protectors for a limited time for only $19.99. Order online now at getguardwell.com or call 1-800-390-8867. That's 2 face protectors so you can wash one and wear one for only $19.99. But call or go online now. We're here for you, America. Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name. CopperFit Guardwell Face Protector.
Need a nice reward today? Treat yourself to a Heath bar, because nothing says special like rich English toffee. Heath, it's English toffee.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy, a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-852-9312 or go to selectquote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
It's almost unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll,
this is something nobody can imagine.
Our experts react.
What do you do? Oh my gosh.
Jaw-dropping.
Nope, 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 all the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
Tracking a Hurricane Delta right now on the Weather Channel. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Louisiana's state capital, alongside the mighty Mississippi River here. Interstate 10 going in that direction westbound, and this way is eastbound. That direction, about 125 miles, is Lake Charles. Lake Charles, Louisiana, hit so hard by Hurricane Laura. And this now, the day before the storm, and thoughts and our prayers are for the thousands of people that are still in hotel rooms right now who had to evacuate from Laura about 6 weeks ago. Still not able to return home. And once again, looking at the chance and the possibility another hurricane will make landfall near Lake Charles. But much of the entire state of Louisiana and states beyond will have to deal with what Hurricane Delta is going to bring. And it's going to bring it all. It's going to bring wind, it's going to bring rain, and it is going to bring surge. And, Carl, possibility, we could even have some severe weather in terms of some tornadoes, which is possible with most landfalling tropical systems. We talk about tropical storms and especially hurricanes, but a lot going on and lots to work through too. There's still a lot we don't know with how this is all going to play out tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's looking more organized by the hour, Chris, and we're going to take a look at that on satellite in just a moment. But first, storm surge, one of Delta's greatest threats, and storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel shows us why storm surge is so dangerous.
Dangerous Hurricane Delta continues to close in on the northern Gulf Coast and will very likely bring with it life-threatening storm surge. We already have storm surge warnings out for parts of East Texas and much of the coast of Louisiana. We may see storm surge inundation 6 to even 9 feet above normally dry ground. But let me show you what that looks like. We can zoom in using these maps produced by the National Hurricane Center. Let's go to Lake Arthur. This is about halfway between Lake Charles and Lafayette, Louisiana. What we've got here in these areas shaded in yellow is perhaps we'll see some inundation 6 feet above normally dry ground, and in areas in orange, maybe up to 9 feet. Let's go over to another location. Let's go to Gaydahl, Louisiana, where we also may see similar water rises. For example, in these areas in orange, perhaps up to 9 feet, the areas in yellow up to 6 feet. That can do a lot of damage. Let me show you what that looks like and show you why. 3 feet of water. Let's bring that up. 3 feet of water. That can knock you off your feet. It is too late to evacuate if the water gets this high. How about above that? Let's go to 6 feet. 6 feet, that's just above my head. Things as big as cars, in fact, cars floating around, moving things and knocking things out of their way. Toxic chemicals may also be in this water. Let's go above that. How about 9 feet? 9 feet of water? This is practically unsurvivable. Only way out is up. This is exactly why we tell you to follow the advice of the local officials. If they ask you to evacuate, do so. Make sure you listen to the forecast from the Weather Channel and from the National Hurricane Center. And please, everyone, be safe.
And Delta is going to be a very large circulation, so it is going to pose a really serious surge threat. And take a look at the storm surge warnings now in effect. This is not just a coastal phenomenon, especially in Louisiana, where you have so much intertidal area, so much marsh there. That storm surge could penetrate well inland, and the storm surge warning actually 45 miles from the coast, just west of Abbeville there, all across areas around Morgan City, into Plaquemines Parish, and around New Orleans as well, generally outside of that hurricane risk reduction system that was put in place after Katrina. So this is a look at the storm surge potential. It does not mean that all of these locations are going to see this level of surge. What it means is that this is what is the worst that can be anticipated, especially near the core of the storm. So if, for example, the core of the storm is sitting right about there, then you have this maximized onshore flow right in there, and that would be driving towards Vermilion Bay, and that's where we could be looking at a surge of 7 to 11 feet. You do not want to be on the coast in that case. You may recall that with Laura, we got a surge of over 13 feet in Grand Chenier, and that was just devastating. Cameron also hit very hard by the surge there, and it's just very, very difficult to survive that level of surge along with waves and along with wind. And this is how we think it's going to play out tomorrow. The models have been fairly consistent in terms of track and intensity, and you see how the winds are starting to pick up tomorrow morning, and then things continuing to go downhill as we go deeper into the day. There we see 5 p.m., the storm approaching at that time, the core of the storm approaching. We'd be looking at a maximum push onshore near Vermilion Bay. The highest surge is going to be very close to that core there around the eye wall, but we'll also see a water level rise well away from that and more towards Plaquemines Parish. And then the core of the storm continues to move in through the evening, and the onshore flow continues right through the night. High tide will be late tomorrow night. We'll have much more in this storm coming up.
We believe in good we can all afford. From make-believe made for everyone to a t-shirt
that means the world.
This fall, new appliances can welcome family recipes, shorten laundry days, and keep the season fresh. Right now, they can also help you save on top appliances like this LG laundry pair. Now from the Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Need a nice reward today? Treat yourself to a Heath bar, because nothing says special like rich English toffee. Heath, it's English toffee.
So you didn't get the credit card you wanted. Cheer up.
I got denied. There's nothing I can do.
You're wrong, Tom. You can get a therapy companion.
Well, like a dog?
No.
Cat?
No, a cow. An Experian cow.
Oh yeah, you can raise your credit scores instantly with Experian.
It worked. There's that cashback card I want right there.
Boost your credit scores instantly, free with
Experian!
Download the Experian app now.
Power outages can be predictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning. Your well or sump pump won't work. Your modern daily electronics are rendered useless. And what if the power's out for days or weeks? Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of Generac.
When an outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on your home's existing natural gas or propane. And Generac's standard Mobile Link remote monitoring system keeps you posted on operating status, maintenance updates, and more. Generac generators are designed, engineered, and purpose-built in the USA. Generac is the #1 manufacturer of home standby generators in the world. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product. Very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99, and special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment with one of Generac's 6,000 nationwide dealers. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Plus, if you act now, you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment today.
Sensitive skin? Cetaphil Moisturizing Cream with 24-hour moisture lock formula gives continuous soothing relief for dry, sensitive skin. Cetaphil skin is healthy skin.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network,
We've got a severe weather threat. Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
the Weather Channel.
Make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your family. Don't wait until the last moment. Don't wait till tonight or tomorrow. Go ahead and make those plans and make your evacuations as soon as possible. Today is the day. Be ready or be out. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren. You're watching the Weather Channel, and we are tracking Hurricane Delta, currently a Category 2 hurricane on its way toward the Louisiana coast. And we're going to get the latest from the National Hurricane Center, the latest update expected within this hour. It's the 5 Eastern, the 4 Central update from the National Hurricane Center. Oftentimes it comes in before the 4 or 5 o'clock hour, before the top of the hour. And as soon as that does happen, we will let you know. Also waiting to hear from the Louisiana governor. John Bel Edwards expected to speak at any moment. And when that happens, we will go to that and listen to see what the governor has to say for a state that has already had to deal with more than its fair share of hurricanes this season. Not even talking about recent history, but this season with Lake Charles hit so hard, recovering and thousands of people still in hotels after having to evacuate about 6 weeks ago. But here we are again facing another hurricane approaching Louisiana, and it is going to be approaching pretty fast too with some strong winds. So it will have strong winds well inland. We could see hurricane force winds possibly 4, maybe 5 parishes away from the Gulf of Mexico. Where I am right now along the Mississippi River here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana state capital, Interstate 10, with a lot of traffic going from to the west or to the east in this direction. So, Carl, I want to get the latest right now on what you are seeing out there.
Well, Chris, we're looking at a tornado threat right now. I want to tell you about a brand new tornado warning in southern Mississippi. That is in Harrison and Jackson counties going until 3:30. This cell now moving to the northwest at 10 miles per hour. So heads up there in LaRue and Dantzler and Ramsey Springs. Possible tornado coming your way. And of course, we expect to see a much greater tornado threat as the storm gets closer through tomorrow and into Saturday. So right now, a Category 2 storm with 105 mile per hour winds, moving to the northwest now at 13 miles per hour. And as you look at the visible satellite imagery, you notice here that the eye is more consistently becoming visible. So it may be getting more organized at this time. You can see a pretty well-defined eye there in the last couple of frames in particular. So we may be looking at a strengthening storm right now. The hurricane hunters are en route. It is forecast to get stronger through tonight and tomorrow, getting up to 115 miles per hour early tomorrow. And then as the storm is getting closer to the coast, we expect that there is going to be a gradual weakening due to wind shear and cooler water temperatures. However, it could still very well be a Category 2 storm, and it's a large storm. So this is going to be a very dangerous storm taking aim on southwest Louisiana. Now, here you see the forecast for the area of strong winds, the wind field, as we call it, tropical storm force winds in yellow and the hurricane force winds in red there. You see them starting to come in late in the afternoon, early in the evening. And then, according to the latest National Hurricane Center forecast, we see that core passing just to the east of Lake Charles. And it may well be that they get in on those hurricane force winds if it were to happen like this. Now, what we don't know is precisely where this storm is going to go. This is the best guess right now from the National Hurricane Center based on all of the available evidence. However, there are some track models that are a little farther west. And so if the storm were to go a little farther west, that would put Lake Charles more squarely in those hurricane force winds. They would last for a longer period of time. And obviously that would cause more trouble for a place that has just been through so much already. We're hoping that doesn't happen. If it does pass a little farther to the east, it wouldn't take much. You might not see winds that are as strong. However, that would be worse for areas that are east, including Bell City and Gaydahl. And then, because the storm is going to be moving across and into northern Louisiana, we do expect that there's going to be very strong wind well to the north. We want to get out to Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards right now.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here today and for your continued coverage. As they should be, all eyes are on Hurricane Delta. I'm pleased to have with me again today Ben Schott of the National Weather Service in New Orleans. He'll speak to you in just a moment. We do have a fair amount to cover today, so I'll get to it. Last night, President Trump approved my request for a federal emergency declaration in advance of Hurricane Delta, and I appreciate his quick action. We submitted that request yesterday morning. He told me yesterday afternoon in a phone call that it would be approved, and then by the end of the day, it was. This is a big help for us to get in the best possible shape in advance of the storm, securing the knowledge that our federal partners are standing with us and that we have the available resources and know that we're going to be sharing in the expenses as well. Unfortunately, Hurricane Delta is expected to make landfall in southwest Louisiana early tomorrow evening as a Category 2 hurricane and very, very close to the exact location that Hurricane Laura made landfall just over a month ago. Unlike Laura, there are several differences, and Ben's going to get into this more later. But as it approaches our coast, Hurricane Delta is forecasted to be weakening rather than strengthening. And it's going to be a storm that moves faster, and it should be moving in a northeasterly direction rather than a due north direction. Having said that, it is very clear that Southwest Louisiana is going to get more of a punch from this than we would like to see for sure, because we're still trying to recover from Hurricane Laura. So at this time, I'm going to ask Ben to come up, go over the details like we did yesterday. If you would ask questions of Ben, if you have them while he's at the podium, and then I'll come back up whenever he's finished to go through the rest of the prepared remarks.
All right, that was Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards talking about some of the preparations that are ongoing there as we're looking at another storm to affect Southwest Louisiana after the terrible, terrible after effects from Hurricane Laura. And this storm is going to be not as strong as Hurricane Laura, but it could affect many of the very same areas. Let's talk a little bit more about the intensity and what we're expecting here. It is likely going to increase in intensity over the next day or so. And then we're going to see a slow decline in intensity as it moves towards landfall. And certainly that would be helpful in terms of the wind potential, particularly if it were to happen exactly like this. This is some of the brand new model intensity guidance that has just come in. And you see some of these models here taking the storm up to Category 3 to major hurricane intensity or just below that. Several of them do not. But then we start to see this decline as we're approaching landfall. And, obviously that would be the best case imaginable if we could see enough wind shear and enough of a reduction in the water temperature to actually bring the intensity way down as it's coming to shore. We certainly can't count on that at this point, but it would be helpful if it were to happen that way. Now, let's talk a little bit about track here. And there's the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. We're going to get a new forecast package coming up in about an hour or so, a little less than that. There you see the USGFS model in its most recent run, right down the middle there. Ensemble members a little more weighted towards the east side of that track. So that would be more towards Lafayette and Gaydahl and Lake Arthur, and less towards Lake Charles if it were to happen like that. Also looking at some of the other hurricane models, we see something similar, basically tracks between Lake Charles and Lafayette. And then when we look at the European ensemble members, it's about the same thing. It's tracks between Lake Charles and Lafayette. So just a little bit of a deviation is going to make a very big difference in terms of who gets what. This is a large storm, and we're going to see strong winds over a very large area. And we're also going to be looking at a significant surge threat across the entire Louisiana coastline, and particularly just to the east of that core. That's where the worst of the surge is going to be. And that could be around Vermilion Bay, 7 to 11 feet. Life-threatening storm surge expected around Vermilion Bay and surrounding areas. Could also be very bad in Cameron. Again, even though you saw that with Laura, and this storm may be coming in a little farther east, could be awful in Cameron as well as Grand Charnay. And then here farther east over towards Plaquemines Parish, we're expecting a large area of surge with that onshore flow because, again, you've got a very large area of winds. And this latest run of the American model showing the core of the storm, again, coming in maybe just east of Lake Charles. And if that were to happen, then the worst of the wind would likely be just east of Lake Charles. But you might also be getting into some pretty strong winds on the west side of the circulation if it happened exactly like that. And we want to bring in Chris Warren right now. And Chris, the reason why we're so concerned about what's happening in Lake Charles there, obviously we don't want it to be worse for areas that are farther east and between Lafayette and Lake Charles. But Lake Charles in particular is so vulnerable right now. I mean, we've seen the pictures of, just rows and rows, streets covered, or houses covered with tarps, street after street after street. And, that's to say nothing of the emotional toll of having gone through a storm as strong as Laura and people trying to recover from that and facing this next threat.
And Carl, I cannot even imagine what it would be like to be in a hotel room, either by yourself or with your whole family,
for 6 weeks with knowing that your home has a blue tarp on it, which might be ripped off or worse over the next day or so. I cannot even imagine what so many people are going through right now. And Carl, I want to go back to a couple things that the governor mentioned, a couple of true points that I think have some nuances to them. One dealt with wind, the other with rain. The rain talking about this is going to be moving faster rather than slower, which is a little bit different than what we've seen earlier in the year, which will help bring down the rainfall a little bit. And we'll get into that a little bit more, I think, later. But the wind, talking about that it's also likely to be weakening as it gets approaching to the land. And the nuance there, which is also true, right? That's what the forecast is showing. But I think the nuance there, Carlos, what is it going to be weakening from, right? So the forecast still showing a possible Category 3, but with this storm, you know, nothing would surprise me at this point. So what are your thoughts on that? Trying to figure out what we're weakening from could still be extremely strong when it comes on shore.
Well, yes, there's no question about that. I mean, you know, we're looking at potentially a major hurricane developing here in the next 12 hours or so, 12 to 18 hours. And then, you know, after that, there's going to be this race between the weakening that occurs and also how fast the forward speed is. So when you look at the modeling here, we see some very strong winds extending fairly far inland. But yes, the storm is weakening. And so the upshot is that we could see winds, you know, this is a worst case scenario right here. And so we could see winds gusting over 100 miles per hour in southwest Louisiana over a large area from Lake Charles to Lafayette and up towards Alexandria as well. But then hurricane force winds all across the state, basically, even into parts of southwest Mississippi. So yeah, yes, you know, there are two things that are going to be happening at the same time. One is that it's going to push rapidly inland. So whatever it is, it's going to continue to be, you know, causing problems. But the question is it going to be weakening rapidly at that time? And some of the latest intensity guidance indicates that it may be coming down pretty quickly at that time. We'll go back to that frame. This is the brand new model intensity guidance. And you see this real downslope that's occurring there towards the point of landfall. And so, you know, that is the real question. Where exactly is it going to sit? How are those two things going to come together? Where is that intensity forecast going to sit relative to landfall? If it were to happen like that, and, you know, that landfall in that case might be a little bit late, but if it were to happen like that, and maybe we got down to Category 1 intensity, well, obviously, Chris, that would be helpful in terms of reducing the wind impact and the surge impact as well.
And Carl, for what it's worth, last time you and I spoke like this, it was Beta, another Greek alphabet storm after this season exhausting the designated list. I was in Houston. You remember we were talking about how it didn't have that feel, right? It was almost cool in Houston, you know, getting late in the season. I'll tell you what, just check the observation here in Baton Rouge. 84 over 75, temperature 84, 75 dew point, and it feels like it is 92 degrees.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth, it certainly does feel like we are still in the middle of hurricane season.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you can really see that when you look on the water vapor imagery. Well, I think I can bring up an image from the water vapor here. And, you know, as we look at this storm, there is some dry air that is off to the west in Texas, you know, as is often the case. But we're not seeing it really infiltrating the circulation at this time. You've got a pretty well enclosed envelope of a lot of moisture there, and that is likely going to be the case. Now, you also see the strong winds that are coming across Texas, and as the storm gets closer to the coast, it's not just going to be shear, it's going to be that it will inject the system with some of this dry air. And so all of these things, the dry air, the shear, and the cooler water are going to serve to weaken, and land interaction will serve to weaken the system. But the question is, how much will it weaken before it affects southwest Louisiana? We're going to talk more about that coming up.
A woman who was young had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, "Doctor, am I going to be okay?" And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have this under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
It's the most talked about chip of the year. A chip so cheesy, so jalapeno-y, it could only be called Lay's Cheddar Jalapeno. Gotta have Lay's.
Introducing new Life Cuisine for your lifestyle. High protein, meatless, gluten-free, or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with new Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
When I started this commute, everyone said I was crazy. So 15 years ago, I got my first Subaru, and I did it anyway. My Outback always got me there. So when it was time, of course I got a new one. Because my kids still need me. And I need them.
Welcome to the 2020 Subaru Outback, the most reliable Outback ever. Go where love takes you.
Get 0% APR financing for 63 months on select new 2020 models, now through November 2nd.
We believe in good we can all afford.
Sing it.
From a lighter load on the planet to shoes with a lighter footprint.
I knew about the tremors, but when I started seeing things, I didn't know what was happening, so I kept it in.
He started believing things that weren't true. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't say a word.
During the course of their disease, around 50% of people with Parkinson's may experience hallucinations or delusions. But now, doctors are prescribing Nuplazid, the only FDA-approved medicine proven to significantly reduce hallucinations and delusions related to Parkinson's. Don't take Nuplazid if you are allergic to its ingredients. Nuplazid can increase the risk of death in elderly people with dementia-related psychosis and is not for treating symptoms unrelated to Parkinson's disease. Nuplazid can cause changes in heart rhythm and should not be taken if you have certain abnormal heart rhythms or take other drugs that are known to cause changes in heart rhythm. Tell your doctor about any changes in medicines you're taking. The most common side effects are swelling of the arms and legs and confusion.
We spoke up, and it made all the difference.
Ask your Parkinson's specialist about Nuplazid.
Domino's knows delivery, so when we asked our team members how to make carry-out more convenient, they had thoughts.
Frisbee.
That's a thought.
Deliver it.
Even better. Introducing Domino's Carside Delivery. Just pull up, check in online, and we bring your food to you. It's carry-out delivered.
The world's changing, and we're changing with it. At FastShipFaceMasks.com, our soft and plush, reusable double-layer face masks come in fun colors and styles, starting at $6.99. With our famous 5-minute checkout and next-day shipping, you can have your masks fast, help slow the spread, and protect your community. Feel the difference and be the difference at FastShipFaceMasks.com.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by attorney Andrew Van Arsdale.
Attention firefighters. If you or a loved one were exposed to firefighting foam and later developed cancer or other injuries, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Cancers which may be linked to firefighting foam include testicular cancer, kidney cancer, thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, and bladder cancer. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call now.
Call 1-800-781-7940.
Hurricane season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we. Get the information you need to stay safe every day, right here on the Weather Channel.
This is the worst case scenario for the state of Louisiana. Everyone across the country should know of the devastation that is in southwest Louisiana right now as a result of Hurricane Laura. And it is far and wide. And to have Hurricane Delta now taking a very similar track as Hurricane Laura, taking aim at areas in Morgan City, Cameron, and Calcasieu parishes, this is a very tense and serious situation that the entire country needs to pay attention to.
It's Chip Klein, chairman of the Louisiana Coastal Preservation Protection and Restoration Authority, in charge of doing what they can to create essentially that buffer zone with natural resources, creating and maintaining the natural habitat to help kind of create a buffer from the Gulf to inland areas, and also structures and other systems to try to keep the impacts from landfalling tropical systems mitigate as much as you can. Try to reduce the risk as much as possible. We're here in Baton Rouge. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren. Of course, here at the Weather Channel, we do have crews throughout Louisiana covering this. And Louisiana is where, for now, we have crews. We'll likely have crews in Mississippi as well. But we are expecting the big impacts, at least initially, to be in this state. Where I am in the state's capital, Baton Rouge, this is what we're thinking as far as the timing and what to expect. Rainfall, again, this is based on the latest forecast, and we still have time before this happens. So there could be some changes with this, but based on our forecast right now, could see wind gusts stronger than 55 miles an hour and about 1 to 2 inches of rain. But this is a tropical system. Whether it's impacting here, tropical storm force winds is what's expected, but it's going to be hours potentially of some very strong winds. And we can look at the forecast with the winds picking up, especially during the day tomorrow, and peaking late day, more like evening and nighttime, but being strong ahead of time as well. So tomorrow's the day when you should have already had all of your preparations in play and done, completed. Here in Baton Rouge, city and parishes, government offices not going to be open tomorrow. LSU also closed to students tomorrow, with the game being moved to Missouri to Columbia. Tigers heading up that way for the game, moving it from here in Baton Rouge. So the rainfall that's expected with this could produce some flooding. There are flash flood watches, so that means with the watch, those conditions are possible. Warnings means it's expected, and that's what we expect here is a tropical storm situation. That is what's coming here, a tropical storm to Baton Rouge. But other spots in Louisiana, we know, Jackie, going to be dealing with hurricane force winds. And because this is a fast mover, it looks like 4 or 5 parishes inland may have to deal with hurricane force winds.
Yeah, it takes a while for that to ramp down, especially when it's moving so quickly. And you mentioned the flash flood watches. Those may get expanded with time, too, farther off towards the north and to the east. One of the places we're watching for the threat of heavy rainfall is Charlotte, North Carolina. You look absolutely beautiful right now with blue skies and 84 degrees, but rain on the way as we head towards the weekend into the early part of next week, and several inches on the table here. Now, another area that may be vulnerable is the Northeast, and you're still reeling from yesterday's wild weather here, and you're going to get some more rain and some gusty winds due to the remnants of Delta, as well as a cold front that's going to be moving through the area. There you can see all the leaves getting blown down yesterday. You're still in the tens of thousands without power in the state of Massachusetts due to those wild winds that you had to deal with there yesterday. So this is going to have some far-reaching impacts if you're in the Mid-Atlantic, if you're in the Northeast, and you're saying, what do I need to worry about Delta for? Well, you do, because you're going to be feeling those impacts, and that is on the way. So, of course, we're concerned about the coast and what's going to happen into the lower Mississippi River Valley, but also the Tennessee River Valley, the Ohio River Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and yes, even parts of the Northeast are going to get in on the rainfall. One of the areas I am concerned about where flash flood watches may end up getting needed here is going to be with the elevation into parts of the Appalachian chain. And so southern Appalachian, as well as the central parts of that chain, may see as much as 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. So you get that elevation, that wind and moisture gets lifted, and that can enhance those rainfall totals. And it's not just moisture from Delta that we're going to be dealing with. Delta getting steered by that upper trough that's going to be coming in, but we also have high pressure, which is helping to funnel in some moisture coming in off of the Atlantic. That's going to combine and get kind of nudged up against this cold front, this frontal boundary that's going to be moving through and help to squeeze out all the showers. And yes, a couple of embedded thunderstorms here too. So the big focus, of course, tomorrow is going to be on landfall, likely happen in the evening. We already have bands on shore now, and that will continue to track its way up towards the north. Saturday, this begins to spread into Nashville, Atlanta, Charlotte. But I think Saturday night into Sunday is when the deep south and the Carolinas will likely see the heaviest of rainfall. The mid-Atlantic, this is Sunday into Monday for you. And look at this along the I-95 corridor. This is going to be a big travel headache for a whole lot of folks trying to get down with heavy downpours from time to time to go along with those gusty winds. Well, not only can you get 24-hour coverage here on the Weather Channel, you can also listen to our coverage of Hurricane Delta on SiriusXM Digital Channel 721 straight through Saturday.
The DQ Chicken Strip Basket, now with house-made Hidden Valley Ranch, is a ranch dream come true. When you dream up juicy strips, all this, and house-made ranch. So follow your ranch dreams to DQ. Happy tastes good.
Introducing new Life Cuisine for your lifestyle. High protein, meatless, gluten-free, or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with new Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
It's an important time to save. With Priceline, you can get up to 60% off amazing hotels. And when you get a big deal, you feel like a big deal. Priceline. Every trip is a big deal.
Thursday Night Football returns to Fox. Brady and the all-new Bucs look like the real thing as they meet Super Bowl 52 rival Nick Foles and the Bears. On Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video.
Leaf Filter is rolling into neighborhoods all across America to end the dangerous task of climbing ladders and cleaning gutters. On this side of the house, we see gutters clogged with leaves, debris, and shingle grit.
Now let's turn on the rain.
Watch what happens to the roof and foundation.
Look at that damage.
Okay, who wants to climb a ladder and clean the gutter?
No way, not me.
On this side, we installed Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system.
Now let's bring back the rain.
Leaf Filter filters out everything except for water. Works perfectly.
We need that.
There's no damage because the gutters are clean, not clogged. And clean gutters mean
No ladders. And no damage.
call 833-LEAF Filter or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15%.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Margot.
We've always done things our own way.
Charted our own paths.
I wasn't going to just back down from moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
Psoriatic arthritis wasn't going to change who I am.
When I learned that my joint pain could mean permanent joint damage, I asked about Enbrel. Enbrel helps relieve joint pain and helps stop permanent joint damage.
Plus, Enbrel helps skin get clearer in psoriatic arthritis. Ask your doctor about Enbrel so you can get back to your true self.
Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if you've been someplace where fungal infections are common, or if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if you have persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness. Don't start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu.
Visit Enbrel.com to see how your joint damage could progress. Enbrel. Eligible patients may pay as little as $5 per month.
My turn. It shows up at the end of the year. Coffee Mate seasonal flavors. It really makes the season. Oh, peppermint mocha.
It's related to nature.
Pumpkin spice. This is gonna be a while.
Yeah.
Try Coffee Mate seasonal flavors. Coffee's perfect holiday mate.
It's almost unbelievable this is real.
When your cameras roll,
This is something nobody can imagine.
our experts react.
What do you do?
Oh my gosh. Jaw-dropping.
Nope, nope, nope. All the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
All right, now you are watching the Weather Channel. We are tracking Delta, and the last thing that people who live or may have evacuated from Lake Charles about 6 weeks ago want to hear. We can see that a lot of damage remains, and we've seen today a lot of damage that remains as well. So the rainfall that's expected is part of the story as this storm moves on shore, and the rainfall is bad because of what you see with the tarps. And some of the Blue Roof program here there's like, I believe, 6,000 homes in the Lake Charles area with blue roofs now, those tarps that are protecting them from the rain. And if they get blown away and the rain comes down, which is expected, that is going to be an unfortunate, very unfortunate situation. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren here. You're watching the Weather Channel. This is Baton Rouge, the Mississippi River right here, and that is Interstate 10 going in the westbound direction. And eventually, if you keep going in that direction, about 125 miles, you'll end up in Lake Charles. But that being said, if you go that direction to the south, this Mississippi River right here goes north-south, and so you're just slightly off to the southwest, and you'll get to the coast as a crow flies in about 50 miles, so relatively close there to coastal areas. I want to get you caught up right now here on the Weather Channel with what we know, some of the latest information that is coming into the Weather Channel. And Interstate 10, so an extension of the road that's nearby here in Baton Rouge, that interstate from Lake Charles moving to the west, so heading like in the direction of Texas, is heavily congested. Louisiana transportation officials urge people evacuating and leaving the area to consider either Interstate 49 north or I-20 west or I-20 west as an alternative route there. Ferry access is temporarily halted in Cameron Parish, and more than 91% of Gulf oil production has been shut in. So we are still, in the time period where you have a little bit of time to prepare, but this is it. This is the day right here, because tomorrow is when this storm is going to make landfall. Likely late in the day, but Carl, I think we can expect much of, especially coastal areas, to see the deteriorating conditions in a big way, even early.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough day tomorrow, no doubt, Chris. Thank you so much. And let's take a look at the latest from the Hurricane Center. Now 105-mile-per-hour storm with Category 2 winds. So we expect to get a new advisory coming up here at 5 p.m., and we'll see if there's been any change there. Hurricane hunters flying out right now. We have seen a little more definition to the eye in the last couple of hours, and that could indicate some strengthening and a lot of very deep convection or tall thunderstorms about that developing eye, that clearing out eye there in the center of the storm. And I want to show you the most recent model intensity guides, because this is interesting. You notice that some of these models do bring it up just a little bit here in the next, say, 12 to 18 hours, but then we see a sharp drop off. And so one of the big questions is, where is that going to be relative to the landfall? Now, the landfall position we've got here might be a little on the late side. If you move it up a little bit, if it's more towards early evening than late evening, then obviously that's going to make a difference. But the point is, you see that the shear and the cooler water and the land interaction all really starting to affect the system in a big way. So there is a sharp drop in intensity, and it's just a matter of when that occurs relative to the time that it comes on shore. So it may be that we see a little less impact that way. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But this is the latest forecast from the Hurricane Center, and you see the forecast taking up to 105 miles per hour, 115, and then back down to 105 as it's coming in. We can hope that it won't be quite that strong. But what we do know is that it is a very large circulation, and it's going to be piling up the water and generating large waves. So a life-threatening surge on the way for much of the Louisiana coastline, that probably maximizing near Vermilion Bay, and then the core of the storm coming on shore, either very close to or right over Lake Charles, or maybe just to the east, maybe affecting areas, say, around Gaydahl and Lake Arthur and Jennings, more so than Lake Charles and Lafayette as well. And then because the storm is moving rapidly, we're going to see some strong wind making its way all the way up into northern Louisiana as well. So This is going to be a serious windstorm. Hurricane warnings in effect for much of Louisiana, including Lake Charles and Lafayette and Alexandria, well inland. And as mentioned, we are looking at a life-threatening storm surge. It may not be like this in every spot, but where that core comes in particular is where we could realize this potential. That's 7 to 11 feet, and particularly from areas east of Cameron towards Vermilion Bay, and then even over towards Homa as well. So a very dangerous storm on the way. We'll have much more on the storm coming up in a few minutes.
Putting adventure first doesn't mean having to put sugar first. This Cliff Bar's first ingredient is brown rice syrup, another name for sugar. In this new Kind Energy Bar, it's whole grain oats with 35% less sugar than the leading Cliff Bar. Be kind to yourself.
Severe storm damage cost you thousands in repairs. Hi, Phil Swift here. This storm season, you need the entire Flex Seal family of products. Make fast, easy, on-the-spot repairs. Seal up cracks and holes to prevent wind and water from damaging your home. Push Flex Paste deep into wet surfaces to help prevent flood damage and make quick automotive repairs. Get the Flex Seal family of products at these fine retailers.
Look, this isn't my first rodeo. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way to take your home. It's just a loan designed for older homeowners, and it's helped over 1 million Americans. A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference is how you pay it back.
Find out how reverse mortgages really work with AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage guide. Eliminate monthly mortgage payments, pay bills, medical costs, and more. Call now and get your free info kit. Call 1-800-231-7626.
Other mortgages are paid each month, but with a reverse mortgage, you can pay whatever you can when it works for you. Or you can wait and pay it off in one lump sum when you leave your home.
Discover the option that's best for you. Call today and find out more in AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage loan guide. Access tax-free cash and stay in the home you love.
You've probably been investing in your home for years, making monthly mortgage payments, doing the right thing. And it's become your family's heart and soul. Well, that investment can give you tax-free cash just when you need it.
Learn how homeowners are strategically using a reverse mortgage loan to cover expenses, pay for health care, preserve your portfolio, and so much more.
Look, reverse mortgages aren't for everyone, but I think I've been around long enough to know what's what. I'm proud to be a part of AAG. I trust them. I think you can too.
Trust AAG for the best reverse mortgage solutions. Call 1-800-231-7626 so you can
retire better.
You know what? The way you care for your baby is absolutely perfect. And that inspired our perfect diaper, our softest yet with trusted protection. Huggy Special Delivery.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network,
We've got a severe weather threat. Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
the Weather Channel.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live, the latest on Hurricane Delta. As we await the new advisory from the National Hurricane Center, the hurricane hunters are flying into this right now, and they are finding that the pressure might be a little bit lower. We're also seeing a nice blow up of some stronger thunderstorms on the north side here of the eye wall. So more signs that this is potentially strengthening at this time. Category 2 hurricane at the last advisory as it moves to the north and west. This will be approaching the Gulf Coast tomorrow with landfall likely in southwest Louisiana as we head into tomorrow evening. As the Gulf braces for Delta, the West wants some weather relief on the fire front. Here's a look at Eugene, Oregon, and you can see there are some clouds here already. Rain finally in the forecast here in the Pacific Northwest, but that's more likely to come as we head towards the weekend. So hang in there. Let's take a look at the forecast here for Eugene, and notice you still have another nice day tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. The rain arrives on Saturday and Sunday. That should help with the smoke situation evacuation and also help with the fires for sure. Notice the cooler temperatures that are going to be on the way as well. The heaviest of rainfall is going to be from about the Cascades westward towards the coast, but still getting some of that moisture into the Intermountain West. We'd like to see it come here in parts of California. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to fizzle out and miss you altogether here. Coastal parts of Northern California should get a couple of showers, but that's going to be about it. There's a look at the fire areas. So the rain is coming definitely in areas that need it, but more acres certainly continue to burn in California. Things look a little bit more favorable, perhaps about a week from now. Well, cooler and wetter times certainly welcome in the fire-ravaged West, but in a season of record-setting fires, a sobering realization that this could become the new and scary normal. Our Dave Malkoff is on the fire front in Santa Rosa, California, showing us how a climate that is changing is helping to spark new dangers.
This is an unprecedented fire season here in California. More than 4 million acres burned already. Not to mention the homes and the businesses and the lives lost all throughout the West. So what is driving all of this?
It's really nasty, Brent.
They're called very large air tankers. These flights over flaming hillsides are now a common sight.
And you're cleared to drive.
Because there's no denying it, these fires are becoming larger, more destructive, and more frequent than ever before.
Things will burn hotter. The fires will be more aggressive.
The Glass Fire in Napa Valley is now nearly 70,000 acres. In the past, a fire a third that size may have happened once a year.
This year, we're looking at multiple 300,000, 800,000, 200,000 acre fires. These are huge swaths of California that have burned this year.
But this is one of those recurring nightmares. For example, 56 years ago, the Hanley Fire burned through wine country. Then in 2017, a repeat from the Tubbs Fire. Same area, different climate.
That fire in 1964 took 3.5 days. What the same fire in 2017 took 3.5 hours. What's going on in California is really the result of all of the factors climatically and as humans coming down to ground zero in a really, really dangerous way.
It's dangerous because so many more people are moving into the woods. According to FEMA, there are 41% more homes in the fire zone now than there were in the 90s. Areas that could have naturally burned in the past have to be quickly put out by these firefighters. And right now, California's windy season is just getting started. Diablo and Santa Ana winds could easily fan this destruction right into next year.
It's not just land use planning. It's not just more staffing. It's not just more defensible space and more vegetation management. It's more of all of those things.
There's simply more heat available these days. In the last 5 years, there's been an increase in temperature in the overnight hours. That allows the trees and the leaves to get super crispy and ready to burn when the blazing sun comes out in the morning. In Santa Rosa, California, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
And speaking of climate change, vice presidential candidates appeared in their only debate in Salt Lake City last night. Vice President Mike Pence and Democratic nominee Senator Kamala Harris faced questions about climate change that drew pointed remarks.
With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and even Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes,
go to cook a family meal, you have to search for pots, pans, and lids. Well, that's a change.
Hello. Okay. So, commentary. New advisory has occurred. One second. Delta regains major hurricane strength. We are now major hurricane Delta. 1 second. As you see here, Delta regains major hurricane strength over the western Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane conditions and life-threatening storm surge expected to begin along portions of the northern Gulf Coast on Friday. It's about 345 miles south of Cameron, Louisiana, 115 miles per hour, which is Category 3 strength, well 114. Northwest at 320 degrees at 12 miles per hour and or 19 kilometers per hour, 959 millibars, 28.32 inches. So, a tropical storm warning is now in effect for the Texas west of San Luis Pass to Sargent. Everything stayed the exact same. I'll just give a brief summary. A storm surge warning is in effect for High Island, Texas to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, including Calcasieu Lake, Vermilion Bay, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Murray Pass, and Lake Bong. A hurricane warning is in effect for High Island, Texas to Morgan City, Louisiana. A tropical storm warning is in effect for west of High Island to Sargent, Texas, east of Morgan City, Louisiana to the mouth of Pearl River, including New Orleans, and Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Murray Pass. A tropical storm watch is in effect for east of the mouth of the Pearl River to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Next intermediate advisory will be at 7 p.m. CDT. Just saying one thing, I will be doing a one section with the one section, or like those advisories that I did yesterday, one in English and one in Spanish. Also, thank you for Maxi Milano Romero for subscribing. So, yeah. And thank you, Jason Riddle, for subscribing. So it's not wanting to load for me. But the peak storm surge, it looks the exact same, but I am just going to redo it. From Port O'Connell to High Island, including Galveston Bay and Sabine Lake, we have 1 to 3 feet. From High Island to Sabine Pass, we had 2 to 4 feet. For Sabine Pass to Holly Beach, we had 3 to 5 feet. For Holly Beach to Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, we have 4 to 7 feet, and this is storm surge. Calcasieu Lake, we have 3 to 5 feet. Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, all the way to Port Fortune, including Vermilion Bay, is 7 to 11 feet. Port Fortune to the mouth of the Mississippi River is 4 to 6 feet. The mouth of the Mississippi River up to Ocean Springs, including Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurupas, and Lake Bourne, we have, 2 to 4 feet. And Ocean Springs to the Alabama-Florida border, including Mobile Bay, we have 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. Excuse me. So, you have not updated. Let me refresh. Also, if you want to see a live webcam feed, click the link in the pinned message, and you get to see the live feed. So this is the U.S. rainfall potential. So in the orange there, you see 6 to 10 inches. Also, isolated totals may reach higher, 10 to 15, maybe even 15 to 20. But the 15 to 20 is very unlikely, but it still could happen because we are already seeing rainfall in portions of Louisiana and Texas and probably also Mississippi. But so the orange you see is 6 to 10, yellow is 4 to 6, dark green is 2 to 4, light green is 1 to 2, and the white is 0 to 1 inches. So you might get like a little sprinkle. Nothing much. Flash flooding. I know that is a major thing. I don't know if that's just me or if it's... Oh. Yeah, there's a another coloration. So we might actually have a 50% high risk. But it'll update through itself. So the light green that you see right there is a 5% marginal risk. The yellow you see right there is a 10% slight risk, and the red is a 20% moderate risk. So yeah. Well, I will be back at the next advisory, at the main advisory, the next main advisory, which is so I'll be back at around 10:55 p.m. CDT. So see you then. And let's get right into the, what is it called? The weather channel. So yeah, I'll be right back with that. Bye.
the water, standing water. This is normal. And when you have a coastline, people think, oh, you have a coastline, you're going to have beaches. Well, Louisiana isn't known for their beaches. We don't have a ton of sandy beaches. It's mostly swamps and bayous. So we can get an overview above and show you what the general landscape looks like and why we're so vulnerable. Things like storm surge. And coming up, we're going to talk about the importances of and the local topography and local communities from those devastating impacts from hurricanes. Now, we talked to the OC earlier here of Lafayette County and areas in southern Louisiana, and here's what he had to say about evacuations.
People decide to stay, okay, during a weather event like this. There are particular times that emergency vehicles cannot respond. So if you're talking about the winds get above, 70 miles per hour, then it's unsafe even for emergency responders vehicles.
And remember, this is going to be a broad circulation. We want to quickly go through the timing here. The rest of today we'll have on and I don't think it's going to rest of today we'll have on and off showers. I don't think it's going to
tropical storm force winds to arrive, 39-mile-per-hour winds or higher. Likely that's going to happen by tomorrow morning near the coastline here, and then gradually through the day as the hurricane makes landfall, the winds will just ramp up through the day. And so you'll start out a little breezy, then it's going to get windy, then it's going to get violent for you, unfortunately. There's a look at the cone. We've highlighted there and outlined it in a white color, all right? Show you where the max potential winds and again right where the location would be. We're thinking right now it's going to be very close to Cameron, Louisiana. We'd have 110-mile-per-hour wind gusts that could go to Lafayette, could go Lake Charles, could go all the way up toward Alexandria, and then it starts to back off quite a bit after that because we think there's going to be some quick degradation of hurricane with 60-mile winds. Still possible though in Baton Rouge and up toward Monroe, and that could be enough to knock down some tree limbs, maybe even uproot some trees. So we're anticipating some power outages here. 40-mile-per-hour winds could get us as far west as Houston, as far east as New Orleans. So there, look at the tropical storm force winds. That's the area highlighted in yellow. That's how far out the tropical storm force winds go, 125 miles out with a smaller core, about 35 miles out for the hurricane force winds. So expected growth in size here for both the hurricane force winds and the tropical storm force winds. We think as those winds approach the coastline, we've now got about 160 miles out from the center. So again, a far reach here, but a much smaller focused reach of the hurricane force winds. Potentially coming in close to Cameron, Louisiana, scraping us in Lake Charles as well, then racing its way north and east, could go up toward Tupelo and Nashville, likely a remnant low pretty quickly. We think it's going to dissipate pretty quickly, but here's a look at the forecasted wind speeds with the time. Here we are overnight tonight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Like I said, it's now starting to get breezy to windy as we go through the afternoon, 40 to 50 in Lake Charles and same force in Port Arthur. As we head up toward landfall here, now we're looking at hurricane force winds. Would not be surprised near the coastline and maybe even near Lake Charles to see 90 or 100-mile-per-hour wind gust as alluded to earlier, Alex. There's so many people still recovering in Lake Charles. A hit like that is another devastating blow.
Yeah, keep in mind, we have homes that don't have roofs on them. tarps, so not going to stand a chance to winds of that speed. Then there's the rain threats, and want to talk about the rainy side of the story. We look at flash flood watches to start. You even up to the Arkansas state line, I think we could be looking at some decent rainfall on the order of 5 to 8 inches. So plenty of spots have the opportunity to see over a half foot of rain. That rain moves in this afternoon, but especially into the early morning hours. That's when some of the steadier, heavier rain begins to manage into, especially southwestern Louisiana. Throughout the day, it's going to be lifting northward. So heavy rain around Alexandria, heavy rain up into southern sections of Arkansas by the time we get in the afternoon and evening hours. You can see some of that rainfall pick up. New Orleans, you guys could see some scattered heavy rain showers as well, even though you're going to the east. Afternoon and evening hours, you'll begin to see some of that rainfall pick up. New Orleans, you guys could see some scattered heavy rain showers as well. So something to keep in mind, even though you're going to be well to the east.
Produce tornado spin-ups. It's something we'll be concerned about. Now through landfall, Lake Charles to Lafayette in the morning, here comes the rain, and then it just increases in intensity as the eye approaches, and you'll get more consistent rain now and heavy rain at that. And in a lot of these bigger bands that you'll see through the afternoon and evening, you're going to get intense winds within those bands. That's where you're going to see some of your most intense wind speeds. Again, as we go through the late afternoon and evening with a landfall, now you're pushing a lot of heavy rain up through southern and northern Louisiana, through the entire state in essence here. But Lake Charles, roughly 8 inches of rain coming our way, a large area where we think at least a half a foot of rain is in the forecast for you. Again, a lot of this is going to happen tomorrow afternoon through evening, and then for most of you, it begins to taper off going into Saturday as the storm pushes off to the northeast pretty quickly. For New Orleans, could be a solid rainmaker for us with scattered rounds coming in through the evening and the morning tomorrow, and then more consistent rain, especially New Orleans, and then west of there, we'll have opportunities for some really heavy rain, we think, around Baton Rouge as well, mostly throughout the afternoon and the evening. But just be prepared for some flooding. We think New Orleans, for the most part, could handle the rain that's coming its way. All right, coming up on Weather Underground, our coverage of Hurricane Delta continues. It's strengthening, it's closing in on the U.S. coast. We're going to take you back live to the coastlines here, where evacuations continue in advance of what's likely to be a very dangerous hurricane at landfall.
Other snacks bring it, but Lay's Poppables make it pop.
season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we.
From this point forward, conditions will continue to deteriorate.
Don't let COVID-19 take your eye off the tropics. This year's threat is more complex and dangerous than ever before.
Remain vigilant, pay close attention to the Weather Channel.
No one can cover this historic hurricane season better than the Weather Channel. Get the information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
You are watching the Weather Channel's continuing live coverage here of Hurricane Delta, less than 36 hours away from landfall. And weather's going to be changing here quickly. Now, today's been a quiet day. All right, it's been a fairly quiet day. This is really the second shower we have seen, and they haven't lasted all that long, enough to get everything wet here around Lafayette. But people were using the quiet weather to board up. We know the University of Louisiana Lafayette campus was open today, but they will be closed tomorrow. And most businesses and places around town are essentially going to be closed tomorrow. So we take you to the population hubs. We've got crews all across the state, from Lake Charles to Lafayette, all the way down towards Morgan City and everywhere in between, even here to the deep swamps. When you think of Louisiana, this is what comes to mind, because so much of the landscape here, especially south of I-10, looks like this, and rice fields and marshes. It's very estuary-like environment, and it's covered in waters. When we talk about vulnerability to surge, this is why. This is why so much of the landscape is below sea level. Rain right now, you can clearly see those drops on the water's edge, but look how smooth the water is, Mike. I mean, it's like glass. That will change.
All right, appreciate the update there, Chris. The technical difficulties, we'll get that hashed out for you folks, and we'll get back to Chris here in just a little bit. Want to do a little comparison for you, because it was a little over a month ago that we had Hurricane Laura that made landfall, potentially in a very similar location that Delta could make landfall. You look what the forecast here is, and that forecast intensity has ticked up a little bit. It's going to be very close to landfall, where we see a degradation in the storm or a weakening of the storm. But look at this, about 80 miles from the shoreline, we are at a 120-mile-per-hour hurricane of Category 3. And we think sometime between Friday evening and early Saturday morning, it goes from 120 to 75. So what happens right at the coastline, to be determined. But at this point, I just expect a Cat 3. If it's less, great. But at least you're ready for a specific wind that comes your way. You look at Hurricane Delta's forecast for winds. We're looking at a wind field that could be roughly 35 to 50 miles out from the center, with tropical storm force winds that extend well beyond that, likely at landfall more than 200 miles. Now, Hurricane Laura was a little bit bigger hurricane, bigger wind field here, especially with the hurricane force winds. It was a Cat 4 at landfall, remember, so a little bit more intense than what we're expecting Delta to be, and coming in near Cameron. We think that the location is eerie, right? Forecast of Delta is only 15 miles from where Laura made landfall. This could vary, could go farther east, could go farther west, but it's just scary to think of how close these two hurricanes are making landfall this short apart. Now, if we make landfall tomorrow in Louisiana, seems a sure bet. We're going to tie the record for most landfalls in a single season in Louisiana. The record is 2002, when we had Tropical Storm Bertha, Hannah, Tropical Storm Isidore, and Hurricane Lily make landfall. We've got 3 so far this year. And with Cristobal, Marco, and Laura, Delta will make a 4, unfortunately, a record. We're probably going to hit here, Alex, just in a year that has been torture for so many people along the Gulf Coast.
It has. And we know we lost 25 people after Hurricane Laura. 9 of those following the storm were a result of carbon monoxide poisoning from people using generators indoors. So as you prepare for this storm and prepare to lose power, we think that's definitely going to be something we see with this. I want you to prepare and think about using those generators safely so we can keep those numbers to 0 this storm. Again, Category 3, Hurricane Delta with 115-mile-per-hour winds, max wind potential. Greatest quarter there from, say, East Texas, really extreme East Texas, right along the line between Louisiana and Texas, all the way over to about Lafayette, where our Chris Bruin is, and up to Alexandria. So within that quarter, that again puts Lake Charles in play. That's where we think we're going to see widespread power outages as well. So be prepared to be in the dark for some time. Make sure you have what you're going to need to stay comfortable, or just head out, stay somewhere else, let the storm roll through, and then once power's back up. I know a lot of times we think, oh, no big deal, we can make it work, but it does get to be an awful long wait, especially when we're dealing with a lot of people without power. So make sure you have what you need if you are going to be staying put. After the storm, operate that generator outdoors. Never run it in a home or a garage. And you don't want to plug it into walls either. You want to use heavy-duty extension cords to attach appliances to that. So don't just use like the plug. You want to use heavy-duty extension cords and turn the generator on, then plug appliances into it. So you don't have everything plugged in and then just switch it on. With the generator running, turn on appliances one at a time. So again, don't flip everything on, and operate it under a canopy-like structure with dry hands. Turn it off and cool it before fueling, and keep your children and pets away from those generators. I know so many times we think, and I agree, I'm right there with you. We go, man, generators are a lifesaver, but unfortunately, when used incorrectly, they can actually take your life. Well, still to come on Weather Underground, a look at what the hurricane hunters are finding tonight as Delta continues to strengthen. All of this is next as Weather Underground continues. And we've got more live coverage from along the Gulf Coast and up into interior sections.
I may not be able to tell time, but I know what time it is. It's grilled cheese o'clock.
Let's talk about floors. Floors for toddlers, floors for toys, floors for stories, floors for screams. Book now and have yours installed by the holidays.
With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm will always be among the first to arrive and the last to leave, to help show that human nature is greater than nature. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Sensitive skin? Cetaphil Moisturizing Cream with 24-hour moisture lock formula gives continuous soothing relief for dry, sensitive skin. Cetaphil skin is healthy skin.
No, really, I think I could dunk on you.
But I bet I love Kellogg's Frosted Flakes more than you.
Come on, buddy. My picture's on the box.
It's the truth, Tony.
Tiebreaker. Who's got the deeper voice?
They're great.
I win.
I win.
Oh, you're cute when you're wrong.
The fighting spirit is one we all share. For Eduardo Perez, it drove him to thrive in his search for a better life. Immigrating from Guatemala at 18, he found work as a dishwasher, a line cook, sous chef, and eventually fought to the top of one of the most challenging professions in the world, proving that there is no challenge that can hold back a fighting spirit. Since 1925, he's proved that it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you're made of. Modelo, brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
At Domino's, we're delivery experts. So when it comes to carryout, our team members had a few thoughts on how to make it even safer and more convenient.
Deliver it. Deliver it.
Deliver it.
Frisbee it.
So we went with what we do best. Delivery to your car. Introducing Domino's Carside Delivery.
Yep, looks perfect.
We do the carrying out for you, contact-free, while you conveniently stay in your car.
Thank you.
Just pull up at the store, check in online, and we bring your food to you. Try Domino's Carside Delivery next time you carry out 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Still your best friend, and now your co-pilot. Still a father, but now a friend. Still an electric car, just more electrifying. Still a night out, but everything fits in. Still hard work, just a little easier. Still a legend, just more legendary. Chevrolet, making life's journey just better.
Not much. How about you?
Are you answering my text in person?
I am, yeah.
LOL, come on in.
This is tech that helps you be there. The Nissan Altima, now offering the most tech-advanced engine in its class.
It's almost unbelievable this is real.
When your cameras roll,
this is something nobody can imagine.
Our experts react.
What do you do?
Oh my gosh! Jaw-dropping.
Nope, 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 all the way back home.
It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
Make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your family. Don't wait until the last moment. Don't wait till tonight or tomorrow. Go ahead and make those plans and make your evacuations as soon as possible.
We are tracking Hurricane Delta on track to become our 10th landfalling tropical system this hurricane season. 2020 is exhausting, right? Well, I'm Alex Wilson here with Mike Bettis.
I know the season has been historic in so many ways. We know a lot of you, by the way, have questions. We're here to answer those questions tonight. If you are on Twitter, send those questions using the hashtag Hurricane Questions. We'll answer as many of them live as we can this evening. All right, let's talk about what's happening with Delta right now. With the newest advisor, we had a tick up to Category 3 now. Winds have intensified to 115 miles per hour. So we've got a pretty serious threat on our hands right now. And a noticeable eye has formed today as well. Hadn't seen one at any point during the lifespan of Delta, but now we do. Pressure's down to 959, moving northwest at 12 miles per hour. So just a very small slow in speed, a slowdown in speed here, but eventual turn to the north and eventually coming right into Louisiana, we anticipate. So a lot to talk about this evening, especially with the intensity forecast that's gone up and potentially a more intense hurricane at landfall than we had thought in previous forecasts. I don't know if it makes a huge difference here. You know, if the wind intensity is 10 or 15 miles per hour more than originally was, I don't know if that makes a huge difference, but just want to pass along that is the forecast. Hurricane warnings in effect here. Beaumont to Morgan City, as far north as Alexandria, and yes, Lake Charles and Lafayette, we're included in that. Hurricane hunters have been out there flying around. This is the Air Force Hurricane Hunter plane taking off from San Antonio, the one that measured the 115 mile per hour wind. It's gone through the eye. Now on the northern side of the storm right now, seeing winds that are just tropical storm force. But also keep in mind, the hurricane force winds are in a really compact circle around the eye at this point, only extend out about 35 miles from the eye. So wouldn't expect them to see the really intense stuff unless they're right in the eye wall of the hurricane itself. Most of the really heavy thunderstorms have been on the west and north and well, basically the western half of the storm in total, from north to south. You kind of cut it in half, and it's been this box that's had the most intense thunderstorms. And you're seeing a little bit of sinking air going down into the eye, a well-formed hurricane here, and you're starting to see a little bit of clearing in the middle there today. But you can also see, as we put the lightning on there, how many tall thunderstorms have built around it throughout the day, and likely one of the reasons we've had the intense. Not a lot of wind shear out there right now. Warm sea surface temperatures with it. All the wind shear is up here. That's usually what tears a hurricane apart. Not a factor at this point. So this is why the forecast goes even higher with the intensity. The wind shear may not take over until sometime near landfall. All right. So here we are with a more strong west or southwesterly shear happening for us tomorrow evening into Saturday morning. And so it may have already made landfall at this point. It's going to be a close call, but I just anticipate a Cat 3 happening. Don't anticipate a weakening before landfall. I don't think that's a wise decision, but that is going to pull it then off to the north and the east here, and then weaken it with a land interaction as well pretty significantly, pretty quickly. So at this point, again, about 75 to 80 miles off the coastline tomorrow afternoon, we still have a Category 3 hurricane here. And I would just say that's what's going to happen at landfall, somewhere around a Category 3 with a quick weakening that happens after that. But if you look at that, Alex, very warm sea surface temperatures. This thing is off to the races again.
Yeah, and so preparations underway. We know the impacts for Delta are going to extend far beyond the coast. 40 miles inland is where we find Jennings, Louisiana, and that's where we also find our Paul Goodloe tonight.
Hey there, Alex. Just on the bike there, concerned because we're, 300 miles from the center right now. But as we head on towards tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, we could be right in that right front quadrant and that eye wall here. We're along Bayou Nipiquet here in Jennings, Louisiana, and this direction is west. And in fact, during Laura, we had water basically up to maybe my head or above my head. And this is mainly fed by rain. We also expect some heavy rain, so we do expect this to come up. But also, as you move 11 miles this direction along I-10, you hit this town of Welsh, Louisiana. And as of right now, this is probably going to change a bit, but that's where that center point of the National Hurricane Center's forecast path and track of Hurricane Delta will be, which means if the eye is about, say, 30, 35 miles across, and we are on the east side of that center line, we're only 11 miles from it, we're going to be either in the eye or that eye wall for a good chunk of tomorrow evening. So unfortunately, this place will take a beating once again. That got hit pretty hard with Hurricane Laura about a month and a half ago. So Here we go again. People in town are preparing. They're taking this seriously. They know what has happened. They know what happened to the neighbors farther to west of here who got hit much worse than they did. But now it's a matter of you rush your preparations and you pray for the best. But more coverage continuing all evening long here on Weather Underground.
Hello there. Do we go crunchy cool or golden classic? I know. One for me and one for you. Now that's a sandwich. Gotta have Lay's.
Each year, Americans waste over $21 billion by overpaying on car insurance. Enter the Zebra.
Another car insurance ad?
No. The Zebra compares them all and shows you who can actually save you money.
Compare car insurance for free at thezebra.com.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning. Your well or sump pump won't work. Your modern daily electronics are rendered useless. And what if the power's out for days or weeks? Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of Generac.
When an outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on your home's existing natural gas or propane. And Generac's standard mobile link remote monitoring system keeps you posted on operating status, maintenance updates, and more. Generac generators are designed, engineered, and purpose-built in the USA. Generac is the #1 manufacturer of home standby generators in the world. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product. Very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99, and special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment with one of Generac's 6,000 nationwide dealers. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Plus, if you act now, you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment today.
Mom, I can't find Mr. Quaggo.
Sweetie, Mom's in York mode right now. She's enjoying yummy dark chocolate and refreshing peppermint.
Mama's back.
And now introducing York Thins, the York you love, just thinner.
Water?
Incoming! Water tastes like water, so we fixed it. Neo.
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network,
We've got a severe weather threat.
Winds have been gusting the full force of this thing.
the Weather Channel.
Thanks for being with us tonight as we cover Hurricane Delta for you, a major hurricane, a Category 3 now with 115-mile-per-hour winds. Pressure is lowering. The wind speeds are increasing. Wind speeds are forecast to go even more before landfall. At this point, expecting potentially even a Category 3 at landfall in Louisiana, likely tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. Eye has formed today, which we haven't seen in the history of Delta up to this point, but over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico in a low wind shear environment, we've got a very serious threat on our hands. Well, FEMA's team's also gearing up for Hurricane Delta. Administrator Pete Gaynor joining us live this evening.
Pete, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. Want to start with, I think, the obvious that a lot of people are asking. How do you prepare for almost a 1-2 punch within 6 weeks? Looks like some of the same communities hit hard by Laura are going to be dealing with Delta.
Yep. No one likes to take a second punch. However, FEMA has been on the Gulf Coast for a while, at least 6 weeks in strength. So we've been down there for Laura 6 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks ago for Sally. So FEMA has about 1,500 FEMA employees, plus our partners that have been down there. And of course, for Delta, we really ramped it up this time to make sure that we're ready for anything. So from the Corps of Engineers, National Guard, our friends at DOD, Coast Guard, all around with all their assets ready to go.
Pete, a lot of people, it seems, evacuating, not taking anything for granted, certainly after they had Laura come in. But as far as what we might anticipate, as far as damage might go, storm surge or wind damage from this, so many of these places were already damaged by Laura. What's your expectation as a government agency? And I know you model a lot of these things. What's the expectation here?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, I would like anyone who's in that cone to really listen to and heed the direction of your local emergency manager, your parish emergency manager, your state directors. So told to evacuate. One of the things that I'm worried about is, especially on the track it is today, not too far off the Laura track, is it's going to impact, and I'll pick Lake Charles, it's going to impact a community that was pretty beat up by Laura. And so it has a fragile power system, has a fragile water system, homes, a lot of blue tarps down there. So even though, maybe it's a little bit less than Laura, that's really not the issue. It's really about the impacts on a community that's already been hit hard. That's what we're concerned about.
You mentioned how many FEMA employees are already there. Do they have what they need to stay? Will they relocate and then head back in? I would imagine, you've got to, make preparations for your people as well.
Yeah, so we're embedded across the region. So whether we're embedded with the parish in the Emergency Operations Center at the state, in some cases I have a base camp down in Lake Charles. I pulled those employees out. They're going to spend the night in Houston just to make sure that they're out of the cone, and just a few hours drive back in. So we're well positioned in the region and around the region for whatever we may need.
Pete, I know that in times like this, there's a lot of logistics involved here, a lot of calls with the Hurricane Center, the White House. What's that been like today?
Yeah, so it's been today has been like the past. I don't know. I've lost count. I've talked to governors. I've talked to the White House. I've talked to all our partners. I talked to Ken Graham earlier to make sure we have the latest weather. This is the typical drumbeat of how we do it. And again, now as we run out of time to prepare, those residents that live down there that are under threat of Delta, the clock is ticking. And my message today is finish those preparations and hunker down. And again, heed the directions of your local emergency managers, your local elected officials. If told to evacuate, please do so.
Any other advice you have for the people? I've got to imagine there's fatigue, which makes people, maybe not pay as much attention as they should. What else do you want people to know in terms of if this storm is a second rough punch for these areas that were hit so hard, and what FEMA will do to help them after the fact?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hurricane fatigue. Please don't be complacent. Please don't say, yeah, well, I survived Sally. I survived Laura. I'll survive this next one. Please don't do that. Take it seriously. Think about you may have to go a little bit farther this time because we have a lot of the survivors from Laura that are in hotels and motels in the region, and you may be the next one to be displaced. So be prepared to move into a hotel or to go extra distance because there's lack of sheltering in the region just because the Gulf Coast has gotten beaten up these past months. So and be COVID ready, be COVID safe. Make sure you have a mask. Make sure you have hand sanitizer. Make sure you're ready to take care of yourself. You're gonna, you could be potentially impacted by Delta from a hurricane. Don't give yourself a double threat by it being impacted by COVID-19. Be ready for both things.
A lot of complications this year. FEMA Administrator Pete Gaynor, we thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys have your hands full this week and really this season, so thank you for your time. We get you a look at what's happening right now with the storm, and we've got a Category 3 hurricane once again on our hands. So Delta has re-strengthened back up to 115-mile-per-hour winds as it makes its way closer to the U.S. coast. And once again, as Pete just said, we are looking at parts of Louisiana to likely suffer the hardest hit. Forecast as we get into the afternoon and evening tomorrow, that's when we're anticipating landfall. Could still be a major hurricane by that point. Then luckily moving quickly, but spreading that heavy wind threat inland. We'll be right back.
Perrier, the original spark.
I feel golden. I feel like glitter on my shoulders. I feel golden. I feel like, oh.
Boldly refreshing since 1863.
Yeah, that's half the fun of a new house. Seeing what people left behind in the attic.
Well, saving on homeowners insurance with Geico's help was pretty fun, too.
Tiny dancer.
They left a ton of stuff up here.
Well, enjoy your house.
Nope. No, thank you.
Geico could help you save on homeowners and renters insurance.
Every morning at 4:30, you hear the cooks hop on the floor. It's hard times in the mill, my love. Hard times in the mill. Every morning right at 6, don't that old bell make you sick? Hard times in the mill, my love. Hard times.
Home sweet home.
You know, there are a couple of empty rooms to fill.
I had the perfect wife, perfect family, all I could ever want. But it turns out life had something else in store for me.
Please come back to me. You're not going to believe this.
I had a vision. I knew what I had to do.
I will always love you. But this is about something bigger.
Two Hearts, rated PG-13.
A woman who was young had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, am I going to be okay? And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have it under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Water? Why? Incoming!
Water tastes like water, so we fixed it. Neo.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by attorney Andrew Van Arsdale.
Attention firefighters. If you or a loved one were exposed to firefighting foam and later developed cancer or other injuries, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Cancers which may be linked to firefighting foam include testicular cancer, kidney cancer, thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, and bladder cancer. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call now.
Call 1-800-781-7940.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance, but she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
It's almost unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll,
This is something nobody can imagine.
our experts react.
What do you do?
Oh my gosh. Jaw-dropping.
Nope, 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 all the way back home. It doesn't get better than this.
Don't miss all new episodes of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday nights at 9, here on the Weather Channel. Get your daily dose of everything weather.
Wow! Boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Weather Today from the Weather Channel. New episodes every day, only on Quibi.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Weather Channel. If you want to know what real Louisiana looks like, just look at this behind me. Clearing skies for the time being. We got high clouds, but it really hasn't been that bad of a weather day. We had a couple of showers, didn't last too long. Other than that, it's been overall dry, so great for preparations. But we talk about Louisiana, and of course, New Orleans brings to mind, Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, Lafayette. Those are the population centers, but the majority of the coastline actually looks like this. And cypress swamps are so important because they act as a buffer from the populated areas and can trap a lot of that surge. Think about these cypress trees. They can handle hurricanes, and these have lived through many. In fact, Laura just recently, but they kind of take that surge. This can handle water rises, especially here out on Lake Martin and all across the swamp, Mike. And so it's extremely crucial to have these natural buffers to protect against that rising water. We know surge and wind is going to be a huge factor when it comes to Delta. What kind of winds are we looking at, Mike? And when are we expecting the worst of the winds to arrive?
You know, I think for a place like I-10, and when you're sitting there about 50 miles or so from the water, Chris, I think you're going to get those hurricane force winds likely tomorrow evening, and maybe even after sunset tomorrow. And those winds could be gusting over 75 miles an hour and potentially even higher than that. It's going to depend exactly where the eye comes in, but I'd say we're locked in for hurricane force gust. Right now, we have 115 mile per hour winds with a category 3. And I want to show you the forecast cone here because where Chris is right about here. Breaux Bridge is right by Lafayette. I know we're kind of, you bisect this cone, we're on that right side of the cone, but this side of the cone, the highest impacts will be on this side if the hurricane goes right down the center of this cone. And you can see what the forecast wind speed is just offshore, 120 miles per hour. So I think we've got a pretty significant wind maker in a tight core, all right? The hurricane force winds field is not really large. It's fairly compact. But if you look at this, and this shows you the outline of the forecast cone here and where the 110 plus mile per hour winds could be, that might be very close to Lake Charles, and it might be very close to Lafayette and right where Chris is as well. That could extend even farther north there. And we think it's a pretty certain thing that we're going to see 74 plus mile per hour wind gusts here. And I think that Lafayette, maybe Baton Rouge up toward Alexandria, you're a target for that as well. So a lot of different areas here where wind becomes an issue. Also answering some of your questions that you've got at home. This one from Nikki. In terms of avoiding potential flooding, down power lines, and other property damage when returning home, would it be better for people in coastal Louisiana to evacuate east or west? I think that's another really good question. I'm going to go back to the cone here and show you that there are some areas where I think you're more likely to, I think you're probably safer to go west than you are to go east, because gradually we think the hurricane will make a turn off to the east. It's going to get picked up by the jet stream here. So if you're evacuating and you're like, okay, do I go east on I-10 or do I go west on I-10? I think if you're sitting here in Lafayette, I still think you've got time to go to New Orleans. If you're sitting maybe in a place like Lake Charles, I think it's easier for you and quicker for you to go westbound here, more toward Houston than to going toward Lafayette or New Orleans. All right, and I think you're going to encounter a lot more wind on this side of the hurricane than you will on this side of the hurricane. A lot more rain and surge on that side as well. So if you're in a place like Lake Charles, go west. Alex.
All right, thanks. And then we got to talk about the severe threat as well. Could see some strong storms today and, of course, into tomorrow. As that storm moves in, makes landfall, severe weather tends to accompany these. And tomorrow will be no exception. Delta will be no exception in terms of that risk. We look at where the system is now, of course, out over the Gulf of Mexico, and we are watching some of those thunderstorms extend into parts of the state of Louisiana right now. Also getting into parts of southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, even the western part of Florida Panhandle getting in on some storms with that right front quadrant. So when we look at a storm make landfall, where the center of the storm is, that northeast side, that's usually our hot spot for tornadoes, for severe weather that would come along with this storm. So being prepared for that threat in addition to the others, so important. We have those winds from the southeast at the surface. However, you go a little higher up and those winds become a little bit more southerly with height. So actually have some wind shear. And so many times we talk about wind shear allowing those storms to develop some rotation. So torque values of 2 into tonight. Again, not crazy high. We're not expecting tons of them, but know that the storms could produce tornadoes. And then we get you into tomorrow, of course, 3 out of 10 on the Torcon from Lafayette to Baton Rouge, all the way down to a place like Grand Isle, Mike.
Just one more threat that we have to follow, right? Well, still to come here on Weather Underground, our coverage of Delta continues as it strengthens and closes in on the Gulf Coast. We're going to take you back live to Louisiana. Preparations ongoing in advance of what is going to be a dangerous hurricane landfall. We're back after this.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
Sensitive skin? Cetaphil Moisturizing Cream with 24-hour moisture lock formula gives continuous soothing relief for dry, sensitive skin. Cetaphil skin is healthy skin.
Only Dish has the Hopper, TV's most powerful DVR.
Look who's here.
It holds up to 2,000 hours of your favorite shows.
You waited.
I got all the seasons.
For as long as you need them. Dish, tuned in to you.
Each year, Americans waste over $21 billion by overpaying on car insurance. Enter the Zebra.
Another car insurance ad?
No. The Zebra compares them all and shows you who can actually save you money. Compare car insurance for free at thezebra.com.
You put care into everything you do. United Healthcare does too. Like connecting you to care whenever you need it. Because like you, United Healthcare knows what care can do.
Donald Trump is lying again. Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone making under $400,000. Biden will close tax loopholes for big corporations. Trump's tax cut giveaway exploded our debt, so he's threatening Social Security and Medicare. Biden will make the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share, so we can protect Social Security and Medicare and invest in schools and health care.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
No, really, I think I could dunk on you.
But I bet I love Kellogg's Frosted Flakes more than you.
Come on, buddy, my picture's on the box.
It's the truth, Tony.
Tiebreaker. Who's got the deeper voice?
They're great.
I win.
I win.
Oh, you when you're wrong.
A smile has the power to get you feeling all right. At Aspen Dental, we're making every day a little brighter with our Smile-Wide, Smile-Safe promise. We've got you covered in every way, giving deep cleaning a whole new meaning. And if you don't have insurance, we'll give you an extra safety net too, with a free new patient exam and x-rays. At Aspen Dental, we're making it all right to feel safe and get smiling. We promise. Call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
The fighting spirit is one we all share. For Eduardo Perez, it drove him to thrive in his search for a better life. Immigrating from Guatemala at 18, he found work as a dishwasher, a line cook, sous chef, and eventually fought to the top of one of the most challenging professions in the world, proving that there is no challenge that can hold back a fighting spirit. Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you're made of. Modelo, brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
At Domino's, we're delivery experts. So when it comes to carryout, our team members had a few thoughts on how to make it even safer and more convenient.
Deliver it. Deliver it.
Deliver it.
Frisbee it.
So we went with what we do best. Delivery. To your car. Introducing Domino Carside Delivery.
Yep, truck's perfect.
We do carrying out for you, contact-free, while you conveniently stay in your car.
Thank you.
Just pull up at the store, check in online, and we bring your food to you. Try Domino's Carside Delivery next time you carry out 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Right now on Weather Underground, Hurricane Delta closing in on the U.S. Gulf Coast, and we've got extended coverage for you tonight. As this powerful hurricane strengthens in the Gulf of Mexico, it barrels towards landfall. We're going in depth on where dangerous storm surge, damaging winds, and flooding rainfall will hammer the coastline and push inland.
This includes some of the same areas ravaged by Hurricane Laura just over a month ago, where blue tarps and damaged buildings still dominate the landscape. That's even as preparations for Delta are rushed to completion. We've got live coverage of the developing situation right now on Weather Underground.
Thanks for staying with us tonight for our special live coverage of Hurricane Delta. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson with you until 9 o'clock Eastern. And by the way, Weather Channel coverage continues around the clock through landfall. And we're going to be streaming on Sirius XM channel 721 until Saturday evening. So make sure if you are on the road but you want to hear the coverage, you can get it there on the radio as well. And tonight, we've got live team coverage for you. Meteorologist Chris Bruin and Paul Goodlow reporting live from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. Also Jennings, Louisiana. Well, with roughly 24 hours until landfall, Mike, the time to get everything done is running out. People were leaving town. There was a lot of leaving Lake Charles.
A lot of people getting out of town, and they should. We've got a pretty dangerous hurricane on our hands right now. With the advisory that came in about an hour ago from the Hurricane Center, our winds are back up to 115 miles per hour, now a Category 3, with the hurricane hunters in there, finding winds sufficient to rate it a Category 3. The pressure's been dropping to pressure back down to 959 millibars and northwest movement at 12. At this point going forward, more of a northwestern northerly movement coming right into Louisiana, now 345 miles south of Cameron, Louisiana. Forecast track hasn't changed all that much. Again, for the next few hours, likely to continue northwest, then a turn north, then a turn northeast here. But look at this forecast. It's ticked up just a little bit, but that's important. Tomorrow morning, 125 is the forecast. By tomorrow afternoon, 120, still a Category 3. So I would anticipate at this point a category high-end Cat 2, low-end Cat 3 at landfall, and then quickly degrading as it comes inland here. We think even by Saturday morning, it's barely hanging on to hurricane strength here. But the problem is we're hitting a very vulnerable coastline here where a lot of surge could be an issue for us here with an expanding tropical storm force wind field here. Not to mention with the wind speeds ticking up, we now have an increased threat for some wind damage. Already hard hit in Lake Charles and Lafayette or Jennings, which sits right between the two, could be in for a very significant wind maker here. Hurricane warnings in effect that go all the way north past I-10 into Alexandria. The eye has become more defined today, as defined as it's ever been. We actually haven't even seen an eye until today on this hurricane, but we've got a pretty good cluster of thunderstorms, especially on the western half of the hurricane at this point, but a lot of rain bands are already sweeping through Louisiana today. Some sinking motion down into the eye, and so that's why it's starting to clear somewhat, and you can see the dark there. That's the Gulf of Mexico surface there with clusters of thunderstorms that have formed on the periphery of that eye. And we can show you that with the lightning that's formed here, taller thunderstorms that are forming on each side of the eye throughout the day today. But right now, the biggest cluster of storms is on the north side. As I was alluding to, we still have rain that's falling even well in advance of the hurricane. Look at all this rain up here through Mississippi, Louisiana, back through Texas, even through the panhandle of Florida here, where a lot of people may be planning their fall getaway. The beaches, a little bit rough as you're getting a southerly push of air here and then lines of thunderstorms that come through. We've had that today on I-10. We've now got clusters of thunderstorms from Alexandria over toward Hattiesburg, and with periods of heavy rain now and then more intense rain when the hurricane makes landfall. This entire area in green, Yazoo City to Port Arthur to Morgan City, all under a flat